Greetings, Patrick here from Dollar Theater. That's right, the Voters Edition of Dollar Theater. That's where we put up four movies up and let you guys vote on which one is going to win the week, and then me and the Cheeto will watch and review it. Um, this was a pretty close battle actually between the top two. We had 1973's The Poseidon Adventure, which is a pretty damn exciting movie, directed by Irwin Allen and starring Gene Hackman and Ernest Borgnine and Shelley Winters. A very, very famous disaster movie. And we also went with my very first Steven Seagal movie that I've ever tried. Well, that's gonna like this is gonna be my first time I'm gonna review a Seagal movie. So I picked that one, and in a very close race, you guys ended up picking for me and the Cheetah to watch Under Siege, 1992. That's a little flipper for the. All right. So I remember seeing this movie when it came out. This movie came out when Steven Seagal was at the height of his Hollywood cachet, I guess you could say. Um, this movie came out right after Out for Justice, which was a very cool movie in a lot of respects as well. And then Steven Seagal did this one after that, and he had it was great. Andrew Davis directed it. Andrew Davis would go on to direct The Fugitive. In fact, nine other cast members would go on to work with Davis on The Fugitive after they did Under Siege. Surprisingly, Steven Seagal was not one of the nine people picked. Shocker. All right. So Under Siege is pretty much known as probably as Die Hard on a battleship, and that's pretty much true. That's pretty much true. But what's really cool about this movie, which is the plot is, like I said, Die Hard on a ship, a bunch of commandos, led by Tommy Lee Jones. They're going to come over and take the Missouri, which is on its way to be decommissioned. It's the last run for the Missouri before she gets put into mothballs. And we meet Steven Seagal's character, Casey Ryback. He's a happy-go-lucky, seems to be a happy-go-lucky cook. He's well liked. He's entertaining, and except the officers don't really like him because it seems that he's sort of immune to anything that any of the lower officers can do, since he's very, very close to the captain, Captain Adams. He's very close to Captain Adams, and so that causes Casey to bump noses with several officers on the ship, including the second in command, the XO, Commander Krill, who's played by none other than Gary Busey. Busey and Casey don't like each other at all. So anyway, they're getting ready to cook, and they're going to get ready to celebrate the captain's birthday when Krill comes down and says that they're not going to need Casey, because they're already having some special entertainment brought in for the captain, special meal and entertainment, and Miss July 1989. Uh, and all the crew is supposed to be up to the deck to watch the be part of the festivities. Well, Casey's he right off the bat, he sort of already knew something was a little bit off with that. It's like, well, like and Krill provokes him, and he gets into a fight with him, and he locks him in the meat locker, and he knows that's really unusual because if he had struck an officer like he did, he'd be put in the brig, and in order to be put in the brig, you have to notify the captain. So he noticed that hey, they're not doing that with me. Something must be up. He tries to talk to a young Marine who's left guarding him to let him out, uh, but yeah, it's a little too late. As the helicopter lands and Tommy Lee Jones is the bad guy, he proceeds to start um, he proceeds to start taking over the ship. Um, they kill Captain Adams. Krill kills Captain Adams, and there's about 30 men, 30 commandos on the ship, and they pretty much they shock and awe the crew into, which is a much smaller crew than would normally would be on the ship. Um, but they shock and awe them by killing several of them uh, um, and putting the rest in the front of the ship in the bow, so they can have all in one spot. They said, well, there's some scattered crew around, but nothing enough to stop us. The mission is to steal. Um, they have 24 Tomahawk missiles on, and 8 of them are what they call, or 24. Yeah, 8 of them are called special, which are they're nuclear tipped, and that's what they want. They want the Tomahawks so they can sell them to foreign powers. Uh, and so Casey has to get out of the has to he breaks out and after picking up Miss July 1989, he proceeds to take the fight to the commandos, and he gets a little bit of help by some sailors, and just enough to tip the tails. And the good guys win, but it's a pretty painful win. I gotta tell you. Um, if you do a kill count on Under Siege, all the commandos died, which is about 30, and then they say they killed about 170 of the Navy men. I think they killed a lot more than that. They killed a lot more than that. There's probably about 100 sailors that died, and about 30 commandos. So it was a pretty pariah victory, if you ask me. Pretty damn costly, but they did save them. They did save the day, and they saved the ship and killed all the bad guys. Of course, the main bad guy being Tommy Lee Jones, who played an ex-CIA operative who had reason to bitch. Actually, he had reason to bitch, as a mission had gone sideways, and the CIA attempted to kill him. They attempted to kill him and they failed. So now he has a grudge against them. And honestly, you really can't blame the man. I mean, if that's what happened to, if that happened to one of us, I think we'd be a little bit grumpy about that. Um, so, yeah. So, he, he's the, they kill him and his team. And at the end of the movie, we see the people on the Missouri. They're celebrating, and they bury Captain Adams at sea, and and Casey's at the end of the movie, he's full uniform, including his background as a SEAL, and he stands in front of Captain Adams' casket before they lower it into the ocean. Um, so yeah, so like I say, I really think as far as Steven Seagal's his leading roles, um, he went on to do On Deadly Ground, the next movie. He directed that one. That actually started a pretty good cast too. It did, but oh, there was a big step downwards for Steven Seagal. The scripts, I think he probably started having a little bit of control over the scripts because, and On Deadly Ground, they paint him like he's Jesus Christ. Um, they had Gunny, R. Lee Ermey, playing the leader of the bad guys, and he gives a speech of how badass Steven Seagal is, his character is, and you couldn't help but to think, they had the wrong man reading this about the wrong man, talking about it. That should be Steven Seagal talking about R.E. Lermy. um, and this, and it's just it really did mark the beginning of the end. Steven Seagal's reputation started to, he had a major hit. Things seemed to be really going really well for him, and he seemed to be feeling his oats. Um, Tons of sexual allegations against him probably helped derail his career as well. It was consistent and steady that he had always done that. It wasn't just a once in a lifetime thing. He was A lot of people complained about him. Of course, um, he also went ahead and you know he did a lot of running his mouth off against the wrong people, including Troy Evans, who played one of the sailors on the Missouri, who actually fought in combat, and I guess he was mouthing off a little bit too much to Evans, and Evans called him out on the carpet, right in front of everybody, to check yourself before you wreck yourself, and he did. He apologized. Um, Not to say Steven Seagal. I mean, it's sort of hard to sit there and say really what happened. I mean, if he would have just, because this is actually this really is his finest role. I Under Siege is obviously his best movie. Now I know a lot of people did not like Under Siege too. I know they did not like that one too much at all. I liked Under Siege too. I thought it was pretty badass. I thought that Eric Boxnazian I thought he made an excellent bad guy, except he monologued himself to death. And then they had the major who was on Heartbreak Ridge. He played the main bad guy, and he, yeah, he made a great bad guy. He made a great bad guy. But I happen to like Under Siege too. I didn't think it was as good as Under Siege, but it was a solid movie. But after that, that was pretty much it. He just struggled after that. Under above the On Daily Ground did not do that well, despite having a great cast led by Michael Caine, Ermi, Sherry Shattuck. Um, this didn't do that well, and but he still has Under Siege, which is the one movie I would definitely tell you to, if you're gonna watch one Steven Seagal film, that is probably the one movie I would tell you to watch. Um, Out for Justice is pretty cool too, except there's one thing I noticed when I was watching on Deadly Ground, and I remember watching this on Out for Justice too. He fights a lot of small men. If you look at the people that Steven Seagal calls, not in Under Siege. Under Siege was legit. I mean, those guys were his size and skill set. The fights are really good. I mean, the action scenes on Under Siege were great. Um, and but Out for Justice and then on Deadly Ground, you notice that a lot of the guys that he fights are really small men. Like, it's not because Steven Seagal was getting fat at the time, because he wasn't, but they were just physically small. If he's 6'2", they're like 5'9", and you really notice that with on Deadly Ground. And if you go back to Out for Justice, you'll see the same thing. A lot of the guys that he's fighting while he's looking for Richie, they're all really small men. They're not his size. It's interesting. It's interesting. I'm not sure if it's because he had problems with the stuntmen, because he did. He had a lot of problems with stuntmen, and the fact that he would hit them. He would hit them full strength, and that was not very welcomed. Um, John Leguizamo had actually shared a story where that's what happened to Steven Seagal. He hit John. He hit him hard with full force. Um, so obviously his career went straight to video after that. Um, I guess I look at Under Siege as sort of like a one hit wonder for Steven Seagal. While the other movies he did were pretty good, but when you start thinking about his filmography, the first movie, honestly, probably the first two movies you think about are Out for Justice and Under Siege, and after that it's straight to video, and he did some other crazy shit as well. But I liked this movie. I thought it was well done. I thought it was well acted. Tommy Lee Jones looked like he was just having a ball. Uh, um, you could definitely tell one thing though. He might have got the role in The Fugitive based on his role in Under Siege. The acting that he does here versus The Fugitive, night and day. He is chewing the green in this movie. He is hamming it up in this movie. Whereas as Gerard in The Fugitive, he is deadly serious and a badass. Um, otherwise, let's see. Otherwise, I guess that's about it. I will say that yeah, this is about it. This is an early version of this movie. This is early, came out in 1992. So the special features are very, very thin, very, very beginning of when they're putting on cast and crew, and that's about it as far as that goes. There's no special features on this version of the movie. Maybe future versions did. I'm not sure. Maybe if someone can drop a link down below, if or let me know if they did have special features on later editions. Yeah, drop it in the comment section down below. All right, this was awesome. Uh, what can I say? Under Siege, my first Steven Seagal movie. I do actually want to end up reviewing on Deadly Ground. I do want to review that, and I do definitely want to redo Under Siege. I was at the library, and they had almost his whole. They had like at least 15 of his filmography. Someone had donated 15 of Steven Seagal movies. This is the only one I took. This is the only one I took. I regret that now. I wish I had grabbed Under Siege too, but this is the only one that I grabbed. I just couldn't find myself walking up there with Steven Seagal. uh, all right. That's it for this review. Let me know what you think of Under Siege. Drop a comment down below. Let us know what your thoughts are, and drop your favorite Seagal movie. Yeah, I know there's a few of you out there, and I know there's a few Seagal fans out there. So drop your favorite Seagal movie, and we will talk at you soon. If you're new to the channel, we do Dollar Theater on Mondays and Fridays. Um, and if you want to hit the notification bell, that'll let you know whenever I do drop a new video. Um, and drop a sub too. We appreciate you subbing to the channel, and we will talk at you soon. Peace.